Hello everyone, welcome back to the POPSICLE KNIGHT channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, hit the thumbs down if you don't, and please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. So for today, we'll be taking a look at Castforms from the Chilling Reign set. This is one of the weaker mechanics that came with this set. However, don't let it fool you. This deck is more powerful than you realize. Let me explain. But before that, I would actually like to point out that I will not be using the normal Castform in this build, because it has a very weak attack and its drawing effects will not be as effective for us in this build. However, as we discuss all Castforms, they all share the same ability, Weather Reading. If you have 8 or more Stadium cards in your discard pile, ignore all energy in this Pokemon's attack cost. So as long as this ability is active, you can attack with all Castforms for no energy. As I mentioned before, this deck is more powerful than it appears. Well, how is that possible? The answer is in its speed. Setting up quickly to discard 8 Stadium cards in your first or second turn will be the goal of this deck build. But first, let's take a look at the Castforms. Let's start with the Sunny form. It is a fire type with 70 HP, 0 retreat cost, and it has a weakness to water. It has the attack High Pressure Blast, and it will deal 150 base damage. It's very important to remember that you need a Stadium in play for you to use this attack, and the Stadium will be discarded. If there's no Stadium in play, this attack does nothing. This has the highest attack damage output out of all the Castforms. So keep in mind that while we need to discard 8 Stadiums as quickly as we can, in the beginning of the game, don't discard them all because these Stadiums are also used to charge up Sunny Form's attack. Next, we have Snowy form. It is a water type with 70 HP, 0 retreat cost, and it has weakness to metal. It has the attack Frosty Typhoon. It will deal 120 base damage, and this Pokemon cannot attack next turn. But no worries, because it has no retreat cost, you can easily switch it with another Castform from the bench and you can continue attacking. And finally, we have Rainy form. It is a water type with 70 HP, 0 retreat cost, and it has a weakness to lightning. It has the attack Rainfall. It will deal 20 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon. While this may seem weaker than normal Castform, its spread damage makes it stronger than it appears. And we have access to Telescopic Sight, which increases its damage output to bench V or GX Pokemon by 30. That's a total of 50 spread damage to the bench. And this can deal so much chip damage that the other Castform will have an easier time knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. I will also be using Cape of Toughness, which can increase the HP of some of our Castforms for a max HP of 120. This will increase its survivability, and this can impact your price exchange in a big way. That's why I think increasing HP can be a good defensive strategy for this build as well. And I will also be using Vitality Band, which can increase attack damage by 10, which makes a big difference to a lot of matchups. And since most of our Castforms may not deal enough damage on its own, I've also included 2 copies of Leon to increase attack damage by 30 when we use this card before we attack. So now let's move on to our fast setup strategy. Our main setup Pokemon will be Talonflame V. It has 190 HP with 0 retreat cost, resistance to fighting, and is weak to lightning. Its weakness will actually be deceptive to our opponent's water type attacks. It has the attack Fast Flight. For 1 colorless energy, you can discard your entire hand and draw 6 new cards. But the great thing about this attack is that you can use it even if you go first. This attack does, however, use energy, so what I've done is include 3 fire energies in this deck. But even with just 3 energies, you can easily find it because we'll be using 4 copies of Giant Hearth Stadium. If you discard 1 card from your hand, you can search your deck for up to 2 basic fire energy, and the discarding effect will help you discard a Stadium in the process as well. Similarly, I've also included 4 copies of Radiant Forest Stadium. Again, if you discard a card from your hand, you can search your deck for any 1 basic energy card. So with this Talonflame V, it will help us discard as many Stadium cards as we can really fast to set up the free attacks for our Castforms. Talonflame V can also attack for 2 fire and 1 colorless. It will deal 160 damage, then discard 1 energy from this Pokemon. You can always attack again because I've also included Training Court Stadium in this deck so that we can get 1 basic energy from our discard pile once per turn back to our hand. I've included 3 copies of Talonflame V in this build, but we only really need one in play at a time. It's worth noting that all our main Pokemon has 0 retreat cost, and this plays a great part in our build because we do not have to worry too much about switching cards in this build, which in turn leaves more room for more stadiums to discard. For other cards to help us discard our stadium is the Decidueye GX with its Decidueye change ability. When you play this card from your hand to the bench, you can discard your hand and draw 6 new cards. And just to be safe, I've included one copy of Giovanni's Exile. As long as the Decidueye does not have any damage counters on it, we can discard it so that we don't leave it as a liability on our bench. I also have Professor's Research, which is great for discarding our entire hand and draw 7 new cards. And I also have Alistair. You draw 3 cards and then you have to discard at least 1 card from your hand or up to 3 cards if you like. This is great for discarding some cards but without discarding the ones you still need. The other ways we can discard our stadium is by using Quick Ball. By discarding a card from your hand, you can search your deck for a basic Pokemon from your deck. So with the help of Talonflame V, Decidueye GX, Professor's Research, Alistair, Quick Ball, Giant Hearth, and Viridian Forest, it is possible to discard 8 stadiums as early as turn 2. As for the rest of the deck, I have Mew with its Bench Barrier ability, which can be important when you're up against bench hitters, especially our Castforms don't have much HP. I also have Pal Pads, so we can recycle 2 supporter cards from the discard pile back to the deck. I find this helpful since we tend to discard so many cards that we might discard some supporters we may need later on. I also have 2 copies of Stadium Nav. Flip 2 coins for each heads, search your deck for a stadium card, and this is great for setup when you still need to find a stadium to discard. I also have 1 Ordinary Rod for recovering our Castforms. And like I said, the Castform mechanic works really fast, so hopefully you won't lose too many Castforms before you start attacking, so you won't have to use this as much. And we also need Boss's Orders because we may need to be selective on our targets so that you can secure key knockouts without losing any more Castforms in the process. And finally, the other stadiums I have in this deck will not only supply your discard pile, but it also serves a purpose for our strategy. I've already mentioned a few, but I also have Galar Mine to keep a specific Pokemon in the active long enough where we may be able to knock it out. I also have Old Cemetery, which will deal 2 damage counters each time your opponent attaches an energy to their non-purple type Pokemon. And since Castform will not use energy, we'll be immune to its effects. Rose Tower will help us draw until we have 3 in our hand, which may come in handy especially when we get in those moments when you start relying on your top deck. I also have Spikemuth Stadium, which can be disruptive too. Each time each player moves their Pokemon from their active to the bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. And finally, I have 4 copies of Path to the Peak Stadium card, which is also new in the Chilling Reign set. This card disables all abilities of all Pokemon with a rule box on it. This is really strong card to include in this build, which can really help secure those wins against bulkier and stronger deck builds that rely on abilities. And that's pretty much it. My deck list will be in the description below, but enough talk, let's see how this build works. Alright, so we're gonna go first this time around. And looks like we're up against the water type deck. And then we have Talonflame to go into the active. That's one of the reasons why I have 3 in this build, is because you really want to start with Talonflame at the very beginning of the game as much as possible. Although we don't have any energy, probably use Rose Tower so that we can draw into it, so that we can use it on our very first turn. I'll just use Quick Ball, and I think I'm going to use the Decidueye GX for its Decidueye change ability, and I'll just discard all of these cards and hopefully draw into an energy. Let's just put all of these Castform on the bench right now. Unfortunately, we can't play more than 1 stadium into play. So we got the Viridian Forest, but we can't play it right now. And we couldn't thin out our hand enough so that we can draw with the Rose Tower. And even then, that's not going to guarantee that we get an energy. So really, we'll have to skip another turn. Because really, what you want with this build is to get rid of as much stadium as you can early on in the game. So not having that energy on our first turn was really bad. And we are up against Inteleon VMAX build. So we have to watch out for bench damage. We might have to get our Mew into play so that we can prevent bench damage, because with that spread damage coming from Inteleon, can definitely knock out a lot of our Castforms. But they're gonna pass, they don't have any energy. Just like we don't have any energy. Hold on. Let's go ahead and replace that with Viridian Forest. Use Professor's Research, get rid of 2. We can use this Stadium Nav. We get 1 from those 2 coin flips. Put this Telescopic Sight. I'll just go ahead and put Sunny Form. Let's use Viridian Forest to get 1 fire energy. Put it on Talonflame, and we should have some time. Let's see, we need to discard a few more stadium cards to make this Castform work. We should be able to start using Castform to attack for free this coming turn. You should be able to get it. So now at least their Inteleon only has 1 energy for now, although if they do evolve into Frostmoth, then they could just energize Inteleon quickly. So again, the key to the Castform deck build really is speed. You really want those stadium cards in your discard pile as soon as possible. The only thing with our start this time around is that we didn't get the energy we needed. But we'll make do. And it's a good thing that our opponent isn't able to set up as quickly as we were able to. So we're kind of both in the same predicament. They also have a Quillfish. I don't know if they center their build with poison too. Not sure. And they're just gonna pass it on to us. That's fine. So let's go ahead and use Viridian Forest. Get rid of 1 stadium, and now we can use Castform. We're just gonna retreat. I'm gonna use Castform Rainy form to start doing bench damage. So we're not gonna be able to knock out this Snom for now, and they're gonna evolve into Frostmoth. But at least we're dealing that chip damage on to that Inteleon for 50. So maybe 1 more attack and deal 100 damage on Inteleon, which will make it easier for us to knock it out later on. So like I said, I think the normal Castform, it does 80 damage, and this Rainy Castform does only 20 damage, but with that Telescopic Sight, it does make a difference, because when your opponent has like a lot of Pokemon in the bench, that spread damage will make a difference. So if they have, for example, 5 Pokemon V or GX, that's a total of 250 damage to the bench. So that's really, you know, when you add up all the damage that Rainy Form does, with the help of the Telescopic Sight, it does tremendous amount of damage. So that's why I have that also in this deck. And it just adds great, you know, it evens out the math. Once you do the chip damage, Sunny Form can do 150 damage and stuff like that, and can basically 2-hit KO any other Pokemon VMAX or GX in the game. So we're just going to continue attacking with this Rainy Form before they can start knocking out our Pokemon, if they even can do it at this point. But we're getting ahead in damage at least. This Frostmoth can just get knocked out at some point. But we can also use, we can now start using our Sunny Form to do a lot of damage against this Inteleon VMAX. So with the Castform build, you already expect that they won't survive an attack Like, with only 70 HP, there's no way that they can survive an attack most of the time. So let's go ahead and promote our Sunny form, and always remember that Sunny form needs a stadium to discard for it to be able to attack. You'll probably see me forget that at some point, but yeah, it's always important to remember. And with the quick ball, I think it's time we get our Mew to prevent any more bench damage from this Inteleon. We're just gonna use high pressure blast for 150 damage. Now it only has 70 HP left, so unless they retreat with it, we can knock it out, get our 3 prizes, and we probably just need to look for our boss's orders. If they retreat with it, we can knock it out at some point in time. So looks good so far. One important aspect of Talonflame V, although it is a fire type, it is actually weak to lightning instead of water, which is actually really great. It evens out the playing field for our Castform build, because Sunny form is weak against water, but Talonflame is not. So we have like an all-around weakness. We can just use certain types so that we don't get knocked out as easily. They're just gonna target our Mew. We will not have any more bench protection, but we can just use our rod to get it back, along with our Rainy Castform. And we're just gonna attach our last energy to Talonflame, and I'm gonna use the Path to the Peak to energize Sunny form to finish up this Inteleon VMAX, and that will get us 3 prizes. We get Alistair, a Cape of Toughness, and Snowy form. So with this Quillfish, they only need 1 energy, and they only need to deal 10 damage on our Sunny form in the active. They can just knock it out. So we need that Mew again, just so we can secure our bench, so they won't get hit for bench damage. We could probably use Alistair in the next turn so that we can draw into more cards. But here comes the other Inteleon VMAX, and they also have another attacker. And with that Frostmoth, it's really quick for them to energize. So Melodic V is I'm not as concerned as this Inteleon, because Melodic V we can knock out a lot easier than this Inteleon VMAX. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a stadium here so that we can use our Sunny form. I'm gonna put Cape of Toughness on Snowy form, and that will increase its survivability in case they target it. And I'm gonna use the Vitality Band to increase Sunny form's attack later on. I'm gonna go ahead and discard 1 after using Alistair. I'm gonna go ahead and recycle boss's order, and let's see, 1 Alistair. I'm gonna get Giovanni's Exile so that we can remove that Dedenne GX from our bench, because they might use that as a main target, and they can get 2 prizes off of that. For the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and use the attack High Heat Blast on this Inteleon VMAX. But even if we attack with, oh man, they're just gonna heal with Pokemon Center Lady. What are the chances that they use that? I mean, you know what, they use Quillfish, so I'm not at all surprised that they use a different type of card as a tech for this Inteleon VMAX deck. So it's gonna take a lot more than 2 hits to knock out this Inteleon VMAX. I was actually planning on attacking with Sunny form, use Leon to increase its attack for that final attack for a knockout, but I guess it's not gonna happen. let's just go ahead and high pressure blast this Inteleon VMAX for 160 damage. So it has 250 damage. Even if they retreat with it, that's probably what they're gonna do. All they can do is, okay, they can bosses order our Dedenne GX and get a win off of that. But since they don't have that, all they can do is really knock out our Sunny form. And I think we got this. We got the boss's orders. We can just bosses that Inteleon VMAX, attack with Snowy form for the win. And we didn't even need to attack with Talonflame V. So let's just go ahead and target this Inteleon VMAX for the win against this Inteleon VMAX deck. I tell you, you know what? Against the VMAX, we didn't do too bad. So, good game. Alright, so on to our next match. We are going first this time too. And we get Talonflame to go into the active. And I'm just gonna allow our opponent to mulligan and do their thing before we put any other Pokemon on our bench. First of all, I don't usually put Mew in the bench right away, because if we don't need a Mew for a matchup, it's just gonna take up room. There's a Zamazenta V, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting energy with the Giant Hearth for our Talonflame V. Put these two Castform, and I'll hold off on the Mew. Most probably they're not gonna be using any bench damage, and I'm just gonna use Talonflame to discard our hand and draw 6. So now we have 3 stadiums in our discard pile. Again, the key number of stadiums in the discard pile should be 8. So we have 3. We just need 5 more in our discard pile. But they're gonna Marnie us. That will draw us into less cards. But we have Alistair, which is good. We can discard up to 3 cards and then draw 3 more. And we can probably use Talonflame V's attack again. Yeah, so typical of an ADP, we are up against an ADP Zacian deck. So if they were able to use their Alter Creation on their first turn, maybe they would turn the tide of this match. But let's just go ahead and use Alistair. Again, speed is the key to win with this deck. Let's see if we can win against this one, because if they start using that Alter Creation, they can just knock out 3 of our Pokemon and then they win. So let's just go ahead and use Fast Flight, get rid of these 3 stadium, and we should be able to start attacking for free on this turn. And the beauty about Talonflame V, I think it works really well with the Castform, because it has free retreat as well. Not only can it use its attack at the very first turn to get rid of a lot of stadiums in the very beginning of the game, because that's the reason why I put a lot of stadiums in this build, so that we can draw into a lot of stadium at the very beginning of the game. So that's what you really want. So we can get our final energy later on, but first let's just get our Sunny form. I think this is gonna be the best Pokemon to put into play. Remove that using Alistair. Put Vitality Band on one of the Sunny, retreat, and we can knock out this Zamazenta V for 2 prizes. So not too bad. This is our 3rd turn technically, but this is gonna be our opponent's 2nd turn, isn't it? But not too bad, you know. Being able to attack this early on in the game is crazy. For 150, and we're hitting for weakness against this ADP deck already, and they're gonna Marnie. Yeah, they have to find that water energy to start attacking with ADP, but for now, they're gonna settle in with this Zacian V, which is weak to our Sunny form. And we're hitting for no energy, so this is crazy. And they don't have enough energy to power up our their Zacian V, and they're just gonna give it to us. Okay, so that's gonna be 4 prizes right off the bat, man. This is really bad for our opponent. So we have a stadium to power up our Sunny form. Just gonna go ahead and use a quick ball to get another fire cast form. Use Rose Tower for 1 more draw, and knock out this Zacian V for 2 more prizes. Insane. So we have a stadium. Oh well, we got another one from our prize, and another quick ball. So with that, we can power up our Sunny form for the final knockout. And they just keep feeding us their Zacian V, which is weak to fire, you know. And they're gonna reset Sampas for 2. But that's okay. We don't really... Well, we need a stadium. Well, there you go. We have a stadium. So that's it. They're gonna boss this order, but it doesn't matter. Again, that's the beauty of this build. Most of our Pokemon does not have any retreat cost, and we can just switch them out of the active. It doesn't matter what they do. They can't trap us in the active. And that's it. That's gonna be game. Yeah, so I'll just use up my cards, whatever. I'll use boss's order to get this guy in the front. Set up our stadium card, retreat into Sunny form for the final knockout for a game against ADP. Alright, so our opponent's gonna go first this time. We again need to look for our Talonflame V as much as possible to start. But sometimes you will start with a game like this, where you don't get a Talonflame V at all. So you kind of make do with what you have and try to discard as many stadiums as you can. We're up against the Decidueye deck, the Decidueye Inteleon deck once again. They have... I don't think that Parasol means much to our build. Ooh, we get a Professor's Research from our top deck. Let me just bench all of these. Use Cape of Toughness, and we don't really can use anything else. I'll just discard everything along with the 2 stadiums there. Put a Mew, which will protect our bench from Decidueye's attack. We have Quick Ball. Let's actually put this cast form in the bench first. Let me just get rid of that. Get our Talonflame. We can use Viridian Force to get a fire energy. And I'm just gonna use this up because we're gonna discard our hand anyways. Might as well use it. Energize Talonflame V, retreat, and use Fast Flight. So we still need 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 4 more. We need 4 more stadium in the discard pile. We have a Dedenne, but our bench is full. So let's see what we could do here. We can use Quick Ball to get rid of 1 Viridian Forest. That will make it. We'll add 1 more stadium in the bench, or in the discard pile. They're gonna start attacking with their Decidueye fully evolved. Talonflame V should survive 3 attacks at least. It will survive with 10 HP after the next hit. So we have, let's see what we could do. We can put 2 more in the discard pile. Let's use Viridian Force to get our fire energy, attach it on Talonflame V. We can use Quick Ball, get rid of that, and we can get a Talonflame V, and I can discard that and just use Fast Flight. And that will get us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need two more stadiums in the discard pile. What I could do is bump out the Viridian Forest, and we can actually use Viridian Forest to get rid of one stadium, get our final energy, attach it on Talonflame V, and then we can bump it out with our Giant Hearth because our opponent can't use it anyways. And we're just gonna retreat and knock out this Decidueye. Oh! No! I misclicked! I was supposed to retreat into Fire form. Or Sunny form. And Decidueye is immune to Talonflame V, so now we're gonna get knocked out. We're gonna lose 2 prizes because of that misclick. Well, you know what? Regardless, we should still have this game. It's just a matter of the price exchange. Let's just go ahead and knock out this Decidueye. They don't have any other attackers unless they set up their Inteleon somehow. But with one of our Sunny form, with its Vitality Band, it can hit for 160. So even if they evolve into Inteleon with 160 HP, we should be able to knock it out with one hit. So that's why Vitality Band, I think, is very crucial in this build too. Although you're only hitting for an extra 10 damage, it actually goes a long way. So actually, that Inteleon, quick shooting Inteleon, only has 150 HP, which is actually good in a way that our Sunny form can just hit it for one. We can knock it out with one hit without the Vitality Band. And they're gonna target one of our Castform, and that's all right because it has Cape of Toughness. So let's go ahead and knock out this Mew. And we get another prize card for that. So we're evened out. So now they still don't have an energy to power up their Pokemon. And we're going to be ahead and prize in the prize exchange. We can knock out this Rowlet. And then even if they knock us out in the long run, we should be good to go. So it's gonna take a few more turns before they can knock out that Castform. And again, Cape of Toughness can go a long way. I'm gonna go ahead and just boss order this Inteleon, retreat into this High Pressure Blast, and they're just gonna scoop. Well, there you go. Good game. Alright, so we're going second this time around. And we are going to be able to start with another Talonflame V. We have 3 stadium cards to be able to discard. Actually, we need to use that Viridian Forest to get our energy for our Talonflame. So I'm gonna hold off with Mew, make sure that whether or not we need to use it in this matchup. And we have a Zacian V to go into that's in the active our opponent, and they're also using Lugia, which is not sure what their build is just yet. We have our Snowy form. Gonna go ahead and use Viridian Forest, attach Vitality Band, and we're just gonna discard this stadium to get our energy. We only have 2 fire energy, so we'll have to find the other fire energy so we can attack with Talonflame V just in case. Fast Flight to discard another stadium along with Mew and Boss. So we have 2 stadiums in the discard pile so far, and their Zacian V is going to be ready to attack in the next turn, and they can get 2 prizes off of that. And we are up against another ADP with a Lugia. So it's a little bit of an odd build. And they also have Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX. Very interesting. But nonetheless, they have Zacian and ADP. And this matchup could still be in our opponent's favor, especially if they start using that Altered Creation GX. But I'm going to go ahead and boss order this guy, actually. I'm going to go ahead and use Quick Ball. Get the Dene GX to get rid of these two stadiums. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put the Sunny Form, attach another energy, attach the Vitality Band. We got 2 boss. We'll go ahead and use Palpad to get these back into the deck. And I'm gonna go ahead and... we only have 2 energies in the deck. I'm just gonna go ahead and Fast Flight for the last time. So what could end up happening here is that they can switch into Zacian V. We have 5 stadiums in the discard pile. We need 3 more. We have Professor's Research. Can get rid of the 1. Well, they're gonna Marnie. Okay, let's see. Maybe they'll get us into more stadium cards to discard, and that could mean that we can start attacking right away. Well, we get 1. We only get 1. They're getting Intrepid Sword. They still can't get their Altered Creation set up, which is good for me. I'm gonna go ahead and bosses order this Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team. 5, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm gonna go ahead and use Rainy Form, but 6, we got 6. And I'm gonna go ahead and Fast Flight for the last time. I think we need 2 more. Need 2 more. Alright, we got enough, I think. So what's gonna happen is... alright, now they're able to energize their ADP. We have 6 stadium in the discard pile. What I could do is use Viridian Forest to discard 1 and then bump out the Viridian Forest for our last 2 stadium cards. So they still don't get a switch or anything like I don't know what's happening with their build right now, but they're just stalling, and that gives us a chance to just like get ahead. So discard 1 with Viridian Forest, bump out the Viridian Forest, and the path to the peak will actually turn off Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team's ability and also Zacian's ability. So I'm gonna go ahead and just Boss's Order and use this Stadium Nav to get more ammunition for our Sunny Form, retreat into Sunny Form, knock out this Zacian V for 2 prizes. So we are now ahead in prizes, and we get our last energy for our Talonflame V. So our opponent will have to make a decision here, either knock out our Sunny Form or they Altered Creation so that they can get extra prizes for each of their KO. Even if they do Altered Creation, we'll be ahead in that in the damage. Okay, they're just gonna go ahead and knock out our Sunny Form, but that will only get them 1 prize. And they're energizing Lugia for some reason. Okay. Let's promote Talonflame V. Add the last energy. I'm gonna put Snowy Form here. And then we're going to use Path to the Peak, and I'm just going to attack with Talonflame V's Bright Wing. We discard 1 energy, but with the Path to the Peak, it actually stops Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX from attacking, because it can't copy any attacks from their discard pile at this point. And it also stops Zacian V's Intrepid Sword ability. So now their ADP will just alter creation. But that opens our way for us to knock it out in this turn. And I'm just going to bump out the Path to the Peak, so with that we can get our energy back from the discard pile. Re-energize our Talonflame V. I'm just going to use Alistair. And we can get rid of the Talonflame V. We don't really need it. And I'm going to go ahead and just knock out this ADP with Talonflame V for 3 prizes. And we only need 1 more prize against this ADP Zacian deck. This is gonna be our second ADP matchup that we actually might be able to win. Their Zacian is weak against fire, so we can just knock it out with this Talonflame V, but I doubt that they can. Oh, they're gonna reset stamp. Oh, I was thinking even if they knock out our Talonflame V, we can use well played. So they get 3 prizes off of that. They stamp us, but what we get is the Sunny form, exactly what we need to knock out this Zacian V. So we're just gonna go ahead and Leon, retreat into Sunny form, knock out this Zacian V for the win. Good game, man. Good game. Castform, the underestimated. Where it lacks in bulk, it makes up for speed. Talonflame V helps bring in the Weather Storm fast with its fast flight. And when enough Stadium is in the discard pile, the damage spread starts. Rainy Castform brings in the heat for the greatest damage. Snowy Castform brings in the Typhoon for exceptional damage. And Rainy Castform brings in the rain for spread damage. I absolutely love this deck build. It's so fast to set up. It's very satisfying to see it overcome bigger opponents, and I highly recommend it. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to smash that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay safe and have a great day.